Okay, getting a message. Oh, they did an a cappella version of Basie's chart. I wrote that song too.
I know.
That's fun. Thing actually makes some money. Schools must like her and the chart and everything. Frank Foster, what's not to like? That's fun. I never heard that. Can't hear much, but a little bit.
I'll make it a little louder, actually.
She loves this song. She's recorded a lot because it's her name. This is the name she gave herself, Deedles.
Exactly.
And the fact that I wrote this made her happy, you know.
Come back, baby, come back. Come back, baby, come back. Come back, baby, come back.
That is her lick that she threw in. And I have to tell her about this. She's my neighbor in the desert.
Oh, right.
And, you know, she's blind, but she manages to get around the internet.
Oh, yeah, I know. She's good.
What is this website? Oh, are you on YouTube right now?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, well, I'll look. Maybe I'll just put in Beatles Blues and see what comes up.
Telephone, he says, I'm waiting for you, baby, 'cause I feel so all alone. Here comes Deedles. Deedles is my name.
We had the band sing right here. Here comes Deedles. In her version, you know.
Yeah. Right, the Count Basie band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing experience producing the Count Basie band.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
This is almost over. Nice. Very nice. Great chart.
You know what? That's his chart. That was not the Basie chart.
Yeah.
He wrote that. It's like very, very much in the spirit of Frank Foster's Count Basie chart.
Yeah.
He did it for singers. That was great.
Yeah. Kerry Marsh. He's smart, right?
He's an a cappella guy.
Yeah, he's really good.
He is. He's a hustler. He's great.
Yeah. He's been good for a long time, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
University of Northern Colorado.
Yeah.
Where he hangs out.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Morgan Ames. I'm really honored to have Morgan on, and I'm looking forward to talking because Morgan has done so many things. You're kind of like an unstoppable freight train or something from the beginning, right?
No one's more surprised than me, believe me.
Really?
For me, for musicians, it's a 7 to 10, 8 to 2 to 5, 7 to 10, 8 to 1. It's a gig. And
Yeah.
every day something else seems to come or not come. Also something that makes a man out of you, builds character. But so I am very allergic to like corporate think. I could never work. I'm just an independent contractor. And people like us, I think, stack up jobs, short jobs that they kind of look like, well, a lot of them are long too, but many of them look bigger than they are actually, because they're just an afternoon.
But the significance of them is
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's great to hear you say that. It kind of, it's just it puts it into perspective. It's really good.
You look like the independent contractor type, Cathy.
Definitely.
Right. We wouldn't find you in a corporate office with a leased Buick, would we?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
And I did try a little of that, but I just thought,
We all tried.
yeah. I remember this
Pitiful.
one gig, that I was in a secretarial position, and the people over me were treating me like shit. And I said to myself, if they were in a restaurant and I was singing to them, they'd be in awe of me. I'm not going to do this anymore,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always the paying the mortgage problem, but you just do what you have to do.
I think if you love what you're doing, and you do it well, and you get out there, and you're in the community, I don't think you can help but get stuff.
If you're in that position, you live in a state of grace anyway. Most people don't. Most people, I don't think, love their work. Like I was doing a session with Carmen Twilly. In the middle of it, she stopped and said, "I love my work." From her heart, from her soul. And we do. It's unusual.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky, even though it's a torture, unless you're in the top 1%, that it isn't a torture for.
Yeah.
They have other tortures.
Yeah. So I'm curious where you are from, and how you came up. Were you always a singer? Did you sing in choirs? Did you sing solo? What was that story like?
I grew up in Burbank, and I had a singing teacher in junior high who was a profound influence on me.
Yeah.
First of all, she taught me about work ethic, which were not words we used, but she taught me what it means to work and finish and love your work. And I used to play the piano for her lessons to pay for my lessons. And then also she would want me to do certain songs. G. Shermer had all these art song you could buy, but they were never in my key. So I learned to transpose the hard way, on the piano: C, B, B flat, A. Okay, A, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how I would do every note. And that's how I learned to transfer. So I had that. I didn't really belong in Burbank. It was not a happy time, at the risk of going into high, boring drama. It was not the right place. And I got out about 17 and didn't go back. But I was always obsessed with music completely. I started writing at 5. My first song was called "I Saw a Little Daisy." I can still play it. And I loved art music because of my teacher, Maggie Bailey, and modern. I was impressionistic. I want to hear Debussy and Ravel. I will sit respectfully with Beethoven, but he doesn't ring my bells.
Yeah.
Like the impressionists. And then, of course, I found jazz. And at that time, there were people on the radio like Peggy Lee and stuff. Oh my God. And big bands. Oh my God. So I spent after school. They had music stores at that time, record stores, little stores, and they had booths. Wallach's Music City at Sunset and Vine in Hollywood. and you could go in there and they give you a couple of choose a couple of records, and you could play on a turntable the record, looking at the traffic, and the traffic looking at you. So I used to read Atlantic Records had the greatest covers, and that's really how I got my education about jazz. Somebody told me I remember the name of every bass player I ever heard of, and I think it's from that that experience, because there were what they called liner notes.
Yeah.
And in the end, when I lived in New York, I had a friend at Columbia Records. I must have done at least 100 liner notes for Columbia,
Wow.
including some beauties like Bitches Brew, which is a Miles album. And then out here when I worked for
Wait,
Quincy.
you did liner notes for Bitches Brew?
Can you believe it? I did.
Oh my God.
I did. I
Wow.
was 20, 22 or something. I looked it up, went to the library, and I remember everybody. I was around musicians all the time, so
Wow.
I knew a lot about Miles. I loved Miles, although that was not my first choice. My first choice was So What?
Yeah.
And then after that, the Gil Evans, Miles Davis, that was like my Miles Davis. But anyway, it was a gig. In other words,
Yeah.
I also did liner notes for Quincy's albums when I worked for him.
Huh.
I kind of ran his outfits. This is how I really learned the business. My God, these teachers.
God.
And he did a couple of albums when he was in business with Ray Brown. One was called Gula Matari. And every time I see Quincy, he always mentions that his favorite line was in one of those albums. I wrote this line for one of the songs called, it said, I love to hear a grown band sing. He loved that. So whatever. He's my soulmate, Quincy.
I just have to input here because I also, like you, I loved Miles. I had a long history, which I won't go into now, but when I got into college, that's when I really started choosing my own jazz as opposed to my dad's jazz. And Miles was my thing, and it was kind of the West Coast thing image. I would put on some ballad. I can't remember which record it was, but it was started with it was either no, it wasn't My Romance. It was a slow ballad, and I think it had the tenor player,
Not Coltrane?
no, the other, George Coleman.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a ballad every morning in college. I started my day with that song. And I didn't really like the Miles, the Bitches Brew era. I didn't like that so much. And I went into more modern stuff like Weather Report and ECM music. And like you, Debussy, and that's much more my taste.
The French voice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just so beautiful and sensitive, and it's beautiful music. Yeah, yeah. So I'm sorry. So go ahead. So
I didn't do very well in school. I didn't see very well, and I didn't get glasses. Nobody noticed that until I was older. So I just wasn't a good student at all, and I was so not. I didn't like anything academic. To this day, I don't really teach. I can coach, I can consult, and I'm happy to talk about people's songs, but I can't actually teach. I'm uncomfortable with that. So I was in Valley College for 10 minutes, and then I went to USC for 10 minutes. But while I was there, I sang in their fantastic choir with this guy, William Hurt. Is that it? No, that's
the actor.
That's the actor. Hurt, though. His name was Hurt.
Yeah.
Someone in your audience will know who he is. Anyway, so I was just, all I wanted to do was be around music and musicians. And I was just like a little sponge for years and years. And then, of course, there were, those were also boy crazy years. So
see, that makes a difference. It takes your focus away, doesn't it?
Yep. I was kind of a rhythm section kind of girl, Yep. So anyway, it's been a very all over the place career. based in the wonder of music, which I consider the quickest of the arts, the best of the arts. Not that I'm prejudiced, Mike.
No.
And it was really all I ever wanted to do was that.
Yeah.
So I did it, and because I needed to be in the music business, since that's where the music was, and the music business has never welcomed women in any era. So I had to do many, many things very well. So that's what I learned to do. And I'm a great transcriber. I did, well, way before finale.
Huh.
I would get jobs transcribing tunes. And then I've always written, I was a record reviewer for many years in New York for this Stereo Review and New York, all over the place.
Wow.
And
You've
so I
done
can
so
write.
many things.
And I kind of learned a lot about producing by reviewing albums, which I did every month. I went to the office of the magazine and I made sure I was first, so I got the best I would get. And those were great years of Paul Simon and Carole King and James Taylor and the Eagles and Tony. But it was just amazing, the quality of music. There were years there with the Grammys where I would get this ballot and I could not choose. How do you choose between Joni Mitchell, Carole King, James Taylor, and the Eagles? Man, Paul Simon. Let's see which was. So those were glorious years for my particular set of music.
Yeah.
I'm
not related to Nan Schwartz, but I was very distantly related to her first husband.
Oh.
So I heard stories about her and stuff before I met her. And so I heard the story of she was young and she had a bad accident and she was in the hospital for months. And I guess her parents were friends with all kinds of big music people. So Mancini used to come and visit her and all kinds of people. And she started thinking about like arranging, so, and Henry said to her, compose.
Yeah.
And then she started to do it. And at that time was really not when women were.
Oh, it was.
But she didn't even think about it. That wasn't her reality at all. Oh, women aren't a part of this. I shouldn't do it. No.
You don't. If you have to do it, you have to do it.
Yeah.
That was my situation too.
I'm just putting on my fan, but keep talking.
Okay. I always say, if you have a choice, if the sentence, how do I be a singer, ever comes into your head, how do I have a career as a musician? Do not do it. It's almost impossible to do when you're compelled and driven to do it. It's almost impossible and cruel and harsh and mean and all that. And if you don't know for positive, which usually means you stumble in. And I think that's the way Nan, what a talented person, what a great, and she was just unkillable. She would not lay down.
Yeah.
She would not she just saw it through. She was fortunate. She had, some support.
Yeah.
But there's never really support.
No, but
and it's the same now for women, incidentally.
Yeah.
There's not a big change when you hear an interview with today's 3 or 4 or 5 women that we love in today's business, and they tell you what they've been through wanting to produce their own tracks.
Yeah.
They hear the same thing, they're told the same thing, they're warned about the same stuff. And I thought, God, 40 years, no difference. But
this is touching on something, because I think it sounds like you and I have the same point of view, which is basically you want to do something and you do it. And regardless of if it hurts or you're having trouble or whatever, if you want to do it, you do it. Like when I was younger here, I moved here when I was 21. And So for a while in that period, when I was in my 20s, singers were giving up singing, solo jazz singing, because there were shitty club owners. And I just thought, I'm not letting a shitty club owner stop me from singing. I'll just go look
Yeah,
somewhere
that's
else,
traditional. Cabaret singers and shitty clubs. I mean, it's the same today as ever. I was talking to David Zippel about that. You should have him on the show. He's a fantastic New York lyricist. He wrote City of Angels, one of my, and now he's written, who's the guy who wrote Cats? Jeff Weber.
Uh-huh.
He wrote the lyrics for his new show. It's called Cinderella, and it's a hit.
Wow.
And anyway, and he's very obsessed with cabaret kind of singers. He's like Rex Reed that way.
Yes.
They love singers of that kind. And singers of that kind are traditionally abused, neglected, and working in rooms with the worst piano or the worst PA system in America, So it's just a way of life. I always say musicians do better when you stuff them in a room that's crowded and smoky and hot. They do better. I mean, it's something about the culture. I don't know. And I never questioned it much.
It's interesting. Last night I went to see the documentary on the Watts Towers.
Oh man, is it great?
It was awesome. The guy who built the Watts Towers.
Speaking of obsessions.
Yeah, and he was from Italy. He came
He's an
here.
old guy, right?
Well, he got to be old, yeah. But his regular gig was he was a foreman and building, but he built the Watts Towers totally by himself.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was an amazing story. And this guy didn't speak English well, but he was very opinionated. He was smart. He talked about politics, and it was really an interesting story.
And he had that vision,
He had that vision. And even Buckminster Fuller was on talking about how great he was.
Right. I know a lot about him, and I've seen a lot of things, but I know that there's this new piece that apparently you saw.
Yeah, my friend actually was the producer director, Edward. Whoops, I forgot his last name. Lang, something.
Well, there's a lot to be said about our kind of obsessions. They can get you in trouble, especially if you always have to be careful of alcohol and drugs and stuff. But since you're addictive anyway, if you're a music kind of person, but it's the fun of it too.
Yeah.
The everlasting fun of it.
Yeah. So I know, like we have some stuff, but so let me just ask, kind of remaining in your younger years, like.
Oh.
There was some time, was there actually like some kind of a more dramatic shift in your career, or was it just like somebody gave you a job, you did it, and then it moved into another job, and then kind of a smooth transition?
Well, I don't know that anything was smooth. I was high drama and terribly neurotic, and came from a really tough background, and I had Tourette's syndrome, which I still have. And I was an alcoholic. Whoops, So I had all of that, but I don't remember. I just kind of stumbled in. I knew I wanted to be around musicians, especially composers.
Yeah.
And these guys, and I got to be around all of them. I did whatever I had to do. So, Hank Mancini wrote a book called Sounds and Scores, which is kind of a classic thing. And I was really a fast typist. And I knew Larry Shane, he had a publisher. And Larry Shane knew me. I was probably trying to get a song done. And I typed this book for Henry Mancini. And we met in the mornings somewhere. And I ended up doing a little bit of editing, and mostly I learned
Yeah.
so much from him. So, and then for a while, when I was younger, I worked for Quincy, who was so crazy. He had a business with Ray Brown, the bass player, and Harold Robbins, the writer
Yeah.
of high dudgeon paperback books, kind of romance and
Yeah.
drama and mystery, blah, blah, blah. So these three lunatics got in office together on Sunset Strip, and I ran it for Quincy. It was really a question. I got to say no because Quincy is shit at saying no. He can't say no. So I got to do that for him. And I got to meet, one day Sarah Vaughan walks in and Quincy was not there. So we spent the afternoon. It was a pretty astonishing period of time, and better nobody ever to say a word against Quincy in my presence is what I could say. And so, and then Dave Grusin and my real soulmate, Johnny Mandel, with whom I wrote many songs.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever spoke more hours to anyone in my life than Johnny Mandel. We talked mostly about music, but also he was a philosopher. And I was young when I began the friendship, and I wanted to know how to think about music in so many different ways. And I always it seemed like all the great people were older, and they were all these great older composer, orchestrator, arranger. I was mad about arranging. As a matter of fact, it's my favorite thing. I can do a lot of things, but arranging, particularly a cappella arranging, which I've done hundreds of charts because I had this group, Inner Voices,
Right.
is my favorite thing. And Johnny said that was his favorite thing. So, I mean, he wrote The Shadow of Your Smile, but he said arranging, I have a friend in New York, Bill Eaton, who says the arranger is the one who knows how it's supposed to go. So if you have that kind of vision, you do know. I like to, when I'm going to do a song, I like to go on a walk and I lay it out in my head, starting from the bottom up, because that's the weird way I write. And then and then you just write it out.
Yeah.
So I liked composers, musicians as well. And I just found a way of life where I could be around these people. Either I was a contractor on their date, for instance, Peggy Lee's beautiful Mirrors album, which were the songs of Lieber and Stoller, and Johnny arranged most of those songs. And I was the contractor on that. So it was a long period there where I got to be around everybody. And then Dave Grusin, when I produced Diane Schuur, that it was for Dave, a close friend then and now, and his partner Larry Rosen, rest in peace. And so it was a long period when I got to be around all the guys that I want to be around.
Yeah.
I didn't see, there was no drama in that sense.
Yeah. I want to interrupt for a second. First of all, Anita Robles sends her love. And also my friend Michael Deek, I don't know if you ever met him. He used to live in LA, and he's a good composer and arranger. He said, as an arranger, do you know, or how do you feel about pentatonics and Ben Bram?
Well, the pentatonics are a wonderful treat. They're great. They sound, I don't know them, but they sound to me like they're obsessed with pitch. I've always been obsessed with pitch in all my group singing. And so I like it when people hear pitch right. They do. And they also have, I think they came along at a time in the internet world where kind of early YouTube world, where they brought something that nobody else was bringing that way. And they have great energy. So I think they're wonderful. Who was the other person? I don't think I know them.
Ben Bram.
No, I don't know him.
Okay.
Is there a ranger out there that I ought to know about that I don't know yet?
No,
No.
Michael, you can expound a little there.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so you have, I mean, I'm looking at some of your arranger categories. Actually, I can even share this just to, because this list is, right?
I have this long list because I'm making a catalog of all my work for the past 40 or 50 years, which turns out to be so much more than I had any idea of. And so it's just writing lists and finding, ultimately I'll make an Excel thing, and then I'll finally update my website and put on, from movies to television shows.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, my friend Dan has listed your credits on All Music, which is great. But doing it yourself, you come up with stuff that
I had no idea. Now I'm working on cassettes that represent a lot of music that I don't have in any other form. So my husband has just been helping me figure out how to transfer them to MP3 via Audacity, a wonderful thrilling app. If you don't know it, get Audacity, it's free, and you can turn things into other things.
I see that you did a bunch of stuff for Lorraine Feather.
Oh man, Lorraine Feather is
wonderful and talented.
Astonishing. No one is like her. She is the daughter of Leonard Feather. Her godmother is Billie Holiday. So she grew up in the belly of the beast, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And she writes these lyrics that are timeless, that are truly extraordinary. She did a whole album of like Duke Ellington songs, for instance.
Yeah, and the pianist.
She found out that you can recopyright these things if you give them another name.
Right.
And you're writing a lyric and you split it correctly with the Duke Ellington estate, you can do these things legally. Those rules change all the time. But anyway, she can write her new album, which is called My Most Particular Day, My Most Particular Self. It has a fantastic title. She just blows me away.
I agree. She's so talented. It's amazing.
Yes, and she's gotten many Grammy nominations, which in itself is stunning because her work is so good. And we live in a pretty different world now. The level of craft and skill that go on now is extremely different.
Yeah, and remember she did lyrics for Fat Waller tunes.
Fats Waller. And she was all over those. And yes, I did a lot of background vocals, extensive ones, for her albums. Chelsea Bridge, which she called September Rain, was one of my favorites because Billy Strayhorn and Duke Ellington.
Right.
Oh my God. And I did and I am very drawn to chords. I am a chord freak, chord person. I share this with Mandel, with Dori Caymmi, with Yvonne Lins. I listen to so much Brazilian music, way more than anything else these days.
Oh, really?
I'm chord starved. There's no chords going on in our culture, and very little melody.
Yeah.
It's different energy now.
The Brazilian stuff is really amazing. You know who else writes gorgeous things? Are you familiar with Otmar Ruiz?
No.
Okay, I have to turn you on to him. And actually, I just have to turn you on to him. He's from Venezuela, and he's a brilliant piano player, and harmonically, and what he creates is just absolutely amazing. And his writing is beautiful. It's very beautiful. And
there are some extraordinary people. I am. I look more than I find, younger talents that blow my mind, but they're out there.
They are.
Jacob Collier is one,
Yeah.
and he's all over the internet.
Yeah.
And he's astonishing. These kind of guys
Yeah.
come from fantastic, supportive families,
Yeah.
always with some money, because the only way you can really take lessons now is privately. And I think most good students have one parent's a doctor and the other's a lawyer. You know, there's dough there, and thank God. But it's sort of like olden days in Mozart's age when you needed a patron
Yeah, that's
to have a
true.
career.
Unless you're like Michael Mayo, whose mother is a big studio singer, right?
Michael Mayo, I don't know.
Oh, write that name down. Michael Mayo. If you
Okay.
like Jacob Collier,
Oh, he's
and-
one of those guys.
yeah, he's
Holy moly!
super talented singer. Yeah, you would enjoy listening to him. He's
We're
really
not in an age of craft skills. When I came up, craft skills, sight singing, like a
Yeah.
streak, all those things were givens. You never even discussed it. You just, if you arrived at the studio somewhere or other, like in your church or in your something, you had learned to sight read.
yeah.
I actually did learn to do it in church, a place where I don't actually belong.
That's right.
But my singing.
I have to just tell you something. So Michael Dioc says that Ben Bram is the hidden member of PTX. He refines PTX.
Oh, okay. So I kind of do know his work then.
Yeah. And
Because if he writes for them, it's like, New York Voices is another great group with inside arrangers.
Peter Eldridge.
Yeah.
Very talented
Yeah.
people.
Take
This
six,
Nalini
Mark
is
Phillip.
on here. She just posted that Lorraine's, maybe this is Lorraine's last one, is My Own Particular Life. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Right?
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Yes. My Own Particular Life.
It's a great title.
It's astonishing. She wrote one lyric for her husband. I produced two of her albums too. And her husband at that time, a great drummer named Tony Morales,
Yep.
got early Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, Lorraine found a way to write a song about that
Yeah.
called Music from the Ceiling, I think. And they're still close.
Yeah.
I mean, I happen to have a tragic lot of friends who have lost their marbles. I don't understand it. Whether it's dementia, Alzheimer's, I don't know. But I've lost a lot of people. At least they're on the bridge. They're not dead, but they're on the bridge.
Melissa Mackay.
Yes, who was in my group for years.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. So anyway, that was Tony's situation.
Yeah.
And Lorraine wrote, and then she wrote another very touching song about her cat. She suffered an unhappy relationship that she had to leave, and she had to take her cat and leave, and it was traumatic. And she wrote a song about that, and she wrote a song for her girlfriends who were so supportive during that terrible period of her life. It's called, Dave Grusin wrote it with her, Hopeful Note. Thank you for your hopeful note, something like that.
Yeah.
So
She
her
writes
stuff,
great. She's kind of like another Joni Mitchell in a way. She's really
is
able
like
to, yeah.
Bertolt Brecht and Joni Mitchell or something.
Yeah, she's amazing, totally amazing.
And she throws in, she's just so hip, slick, and cool on top of everything else. She
Right.
throws in, the most awesome lines so that it's never a feat. It's never airy-fairy. She grounds everything. So
Hey, talk about your group Inner Voices. Like, when did you start it? And
I started it young, must have been 40 years ago. And I was not yet sober. I was depressed at all times. I don't know how I even got through those years. But one thing that particularly depressed me was holidays. So I had a moment of clarity where I said, I ought to write a couple of Christmas arrangements, get my friends in. We'll go to a studio, find a friend. I had a lot of those kind of people in my life. And that's what I did. So and there were about 8 singers that I asked, but 4 of us stuck around in that group when the rest left, and we wanted to sing together. It was Clydeen Jackson, who sings with the group now again, and the soprano was Darlene Coldenhoven, who has a big career now in alternative music, and she's created a huge life in music.
Yeah.
And Carmen Twilley was the bass.
Oh, okay, right.
So we're friendly and work together whenever possible, even now. And so I just started writing Christmas songs, but of course I don't like to do anything regular. So my stuff was never particularly commercial. It's amazing we worked as much as we did, but I just found, and we've got 4 or 5 albums. They're on my website. I think you can, it may either innervoices.net or morganames.com.
Okay.
They're on there. They're at CD Baby. I'm very neglectful these days. I hope to fix that. So they're wonderful singers, and through the years, because stuff happens, I've had to call in people, like once Shelby Flint lost her voice the night before the gig, and tons of hours to do these charts, because my a cappella charts are very difficult. So we have to rehearse a lot.
Yeah.
And she lost her voice. And I remember once I called Clydeen and she sight read the show. Never saw anything like it. And then Michael Mishaw came in at the last moment, also read it down.
He's so
Sally
talented.
Stevens came once. These are really amazingly skilled people.
And the Joyce brothers, probably, right?
All of the Joyce. The last time we worked, which was 2 years ago at Vitello's.
I saw that. I was there.
Yeah. Well, then all the Joyces I got, John, not all, but 3, John, David, and Bob.
Yeah.
I got them all involved. And Bob sings with us so much now that I end up writing 5 parts just so we can have Bob.
I have it here. Do you see this?
Oh, yeah, there we are.
And
One of
here's
those-
Melissa and Shelby and Michael. And this is you, right?
It is. That was Prairie Jazz. We did a very unusual album of mountain songs and country songs, but nothing like you ever heard them done before.
I like how
Yeah.
Melissa's wearing a cowboy hat.
Isn't that cute? That's
Yeah.
right. She found that. That's Shelby. And then over on the left is an album we did.
Oh.
Dori Caymmi came and sang, and that's Alvin Chia from Take 6. That
Oh,
picture on the left.
yeah.
And the late, great, fantastic Julie Delgado, who
Oh,
lost 2 years ago. And we also
Yeah.
lost Donna McAfee,
oh,
who surprisingly just by surprise died.
yeah.
And Sherry Izzard, who I think I met, we were both singing in Sister Act.
Uh-huh.
Only Darlene Coldenhoven was a contractor on that. And they were singing on camera. I was singing off camera. I just did not, my little Jewish self, apparently I didn't look nun-like enough to be one of the on-camera nuns. But, and then at the bottom on the left, it's Al Jarreau, another person I
Yeah.
can't believe is gone.
Yeah.
And that was a show we did. He was on our first album singing Cherry Tree Carol,
Oh,
song,
wow.
a folk song that Roberta Flack taught me. And he came and sang Joseph.
Wow.
So I've been lucky, and all these years with these voices, I discovered some years ago, I noticed that I could sort of get anybody to come and sing with us. Oh my God. Oh my God. So, and I did. And everyone in town, that's not true. I exaggerate. But many people have sung with us. And our last album was this, at the bottom left, it's called Valentine. And that's our greyhound Lizzie on the right, and another
Oh.
greyhound on the left of a friend.
Oh,
much like-
that's sweet.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
On the top right, this group, New Directions Veterans Choir, is a group that I produced and arranged for and ended up singing with when we went on the road, because I had to. There was a slot there and nobody could fill it. And very few of them could read music.
Yeah.
So they were fantastic. They were a group of ex-homeless veterans, all addicts. And they found this rehab program called New Directions at the VA, and they all got sober there. And one of them, George, still a great friend of mine, started a choir. I think it was because in the stairways at the VA, you know how great you sound when you're in a hallway or in a shower.
Yeah.
Well, they and then before that, George used to sing in the tunnels downtown. He was homeless, and he camped out near a tunnel.
Oh.
And would sing in there, and people would come in and sing with him and stuff. At any rate, these guys were fantastic, and they were different for me. I never knew anybody kind of a civilian people, like regular people. And these guys were all retired, everyone with very severe PTSD. And they found a way to get sober. And one of them to this day is a counselor at the VA. George works for the VA. He brings in homeless people that are camping out where he lived, down there by the tunnels.
Yeah. And
they're wonderful people. And we toured. I brought in a friend, Ed Keene, who's a great manager.
Yeah.
And a great friend of mine. And then in the end, I got Ed to manage Take Six. And now he also manages Manhattan Transfer. All these people are great friends of mine. So I said, well, Ed's the a cappella manager. Oh my God. And anyway, that's how we did tours around the country and those tours.
I'm wondering if I can, sometimes I can play certain things and sometimes I can't because they'll take it down. But anyway, this is some of you on Spotify. Now,
Really?
I know there's a different Morgan Ames too, but like here's this is probably The King is Born Today.
You know, that has sold more copies of an arrangement I wrote than anything I've ever done. They sing that song all over the world. It really is a good opener.
I want to hear a little. Do you mind?
Sure.
The King is Born Today.
D King, D-E.
Yeah.
Der König ist geboren. Das ist heftig. Nee, oder? Der König ist geboren.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, the King is born.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, the King is born. Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah, the King is born today. Hallelujah, 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 the baby on his way. Everybody sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah, the baby on his way. Hallelujah, 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 the King is born. Born today, the baby born today. Born today, the baby born. A voice came saying that Mary about to have a son. We've been waiting such a long, long time for the Holy One. Hallelujah. We thought it'd be in purple robes of royal majesty.
Hallelujah.
Mary's in a stable and she's waiting patiently. Everybody sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah, the King is born today. Hallelujah, 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 the baby on his way. Everybody sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah, the baby on his way. Hallelujah, 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 the King is born. Born today, the baby born today. Born today, the baby born. Time goes slowly and cold wind whistled true. And Mary looked at Joseph, but he don't know what to do. Hallelujah. Then a voice came to them, saying, Mary, don't you mind?
Hallelujah.
The boy is coming to your this point, the hope of all mankind. Hallelujah, hallelujah, the King is born today. Hallelujah, 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 the baby on his way. Everybody sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah. The King is born today. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. The baby on his way. Everybody sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah. The King is born today. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. The baby on his way. Everybody sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah. The King is born today. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. The King is born today, 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 today.
Oh, that's great. And that was live.
I never heard that arrangement. It's kind of my arrangement and kind of not, mostly mine. But I never heard of them. Excellent. This is about the time of year I start getting from all over the world requests to buy this arrangement for their choir, either at a church or a university or a college or I don't know where they come from.
Here's another site that my friend came up with. I don't know, this site, singers.com, and you have.
Wow, never heard of that either.
Really?
Well, I don't know. Do I really? Oh, yeah, I vaguely recall that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you can buy your charts and your CDs.
Okay. Well, what an education.
You never
We
know.
moved to the desert a few years ago, and although musicians don't actually know how to retire,
That's so true.
we just kind of, when you age out, you just kind of do less and less work for money.
Yeah.
But it's good because it's given me a chance to get a global view of my own life in music that I don't think I could have had if I'd stayed in Los Angeles where I lived. And we moved to the desert, Palm Springs, about 6 years ago. And I certainly work less, but I'll tell you, I feel like I do as much as ever. It's just, we're no good at retiring musicians. What are you going to retire to do?
I know.
You're already doing what you wanted to do in the first place.
No, sometimes people say, do you ever relax? Well, yeah, I'm always relaxed.
Yeah.
I just like to do what I do,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. To do what? Retire to cook?
Yeah, right.
I think if I were going to do that, I would have learned before now.
So I want to ask you, let's see, I know you produced Diane Schuur.
Yeah.
With several things, right?
Yes, I worked with her quite a bit and recorded that Count Basie album that was very successful. It was on the jazz charts, I think.
Yeah, I remember GRP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
32 weeks, and it got a few Grammys.
Wow.
And I was proud of it.
Yeah.
And it was daunting and interesting to find myself in Japan producing a live tour, virtually producing the Basie Band. I mean, I don't think it's an experience they ever had before for a woman to stravance in there and say, guys, at bar 64, da 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 da. But they were great. They were great.
Yeah.
They were gentlemanly with me.
Yeah.
And the deal was that they were going to tour the Basie Band and Diane Schuur, and then at the end of the tour, they were going to make the album in Japan. That was our plan.
Good idea. Yeah.
So we did tour, but in the end, Diane and I and our very sweet and wonderful Japanese kind of road manager got sick. We got food poisoning.
Oh,
We got food poisoning on clams or something like that. And so we were really very sick. And then Diane got a respiratory thing. So we couldn't do it.
oh boy.
So we came back to America, to home, and recorded the album at A&M. And it came out great. And it was the first digital album. I had only really recorded reel to reel up to that time. this was the first time, and A&M had only just begun to gear up for digital recording at that time. So it was pretty interesting. I remember since we put little tables in the Studio A, big room at A&M, with tablecloths, and invited our friends to try to make it seem like a club, since we couldn't record in Japan. It wasn't a club. And the little applause just like, he said, no, that's not going to work. So then we got samples of applause. And I remember the process of choosing which applause at which place and how loud, and these were all really new things to do, at least for me at that time.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's a good record. I'm proud of it.
Yeah,
I think she is.
And then you really did a lot of film and television. And did you actually write with Dave Grusin the Baretta theme?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow.
I wrote the words because, as luck would have it, Robert Blake was an old friend of mine at that time, and he brought me in, and I brought Dave in to do the music. And it was a time when both Dave and I were ridiculously busy working gigs. And so the word came down from the suits in the tower. We're going to go in and record this track on Friday. And Dave and I were both working on the same thing. And we looked at each other and said, oh, shit, have you written anything? Not a word. What about you? Nothing. So we were walking to our cars or something, and he said, how about don't do the crime if you can't do the time? I said, oh, that's great. And I took that. And so I wrote this lyric mostly in the car. And Dave said, who's going to hire the usual suspects? That would have been Abe Laboriel, Bobby, what was her name? The percussion player. She was so good. Bobby, God, I can't remember. Anyway, Lee Ritenour, Don Grusin. Is that it? Who's a
Like
drummer?
a real drummer? No, or no real drummer?
So he said, and he actually, Dave did this. The suits, the executive producers of the show, filed into I can't remember what lot, where whoever was doing the show, they filed in. Dave put out empty charts, the music with no notes. He handed everybody a blank piece of paper with music lines in it and said, okay, Bobby, you start, so she put some percussion in, something great. Well, Abe Laboriel knew exactly what to do. Lee knew exactly what to do. Let's see, it was Dave playing piano. Don was on another thing. His brother Don, also a great piano player. Anyway, this is how they put it together. We did have.
No, I don't remember. I don't remember somebody singing it.
Well, funny you should ask. The chorus, which is "Keep Your Eye on the Sparrow," which was from another song I was writing, that I said I don't have time. I'm going to steal that line from myself and put it in a. So keep your eye on the sparrow when the going gets narrow, because Baretta was a cop or something.
Yeah.
So originally Jim Gilstrap did the vocal. There was a vocal.
Yeah.
And we went in, and for the first season, so we went in and recorded. It was Jim Gilstrap and me and Carmen Twilley, Myrna Matthews, rest in peace, God bless her, who was going with Dave Grusin at that time. I think that's all there were. And Jim did the solo, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. And it was really great. We turned it in, we were happy with it. And I wrote all the background vocals, and I wrote, "Don't do it." I mean, this is the way we put it together, totally on the fly. Gave it to the tower, and the letter came back to me. No, they didn't put it in print. They would never do that. But the word came back. We're going to use the instrumental because you can't start a white show with a black song. So Dave
Oh, boy.
was so deeply offended that he quit. I mean, his girlfriend was singing on it. He quit. And then I begged Tom Scott to come in, and he came in and finished the season. So cut to the first season of that show was a hit. Now, Robert Blake is king of the world for a minute, you know?
Yeah.
So he brought in Sammy Davis to sing it. And so, okay, you know, I was kind of disappointed because Jim just sang the shit out of it. He was so great. Jim was with the original Wonder Love with Stevie Wonder. Jim Gilstrap is a staple of our business. He's got the sweetest voice that you can have. Anyway, I ended up producing Sammy Davis Jr., which was an interesting thing. And I'd like to say he was a complete gentleman. He did not come with a group of people. He came in on his own. He had studied Jim Gilstrap's track to learn the song, and the key was okay for him. We used Jim Gilstrap's track, Dave Grusin's track. We just put in Sammy Davis and took out Jim, and that's the one that they used on the show from then on.
Wow. And I mean, I'll just play a little of it in the background here.
That's Bobby.
Don't go to bed with no price on your
Sammy.
Wow. Yeah.
Don't do it.
No, no. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
Don't do it.
In your eye on the sparrow. When the going gets narrow.
You know,
That's
I
it.
don't remember who sweetened it with strings and horns and stuff. That could have been either Dave or Tom Scott. The second season, I think, came in and added those parts.
That was great. You know, by the way, just a side note, I dated Bobby for a minute.
Boy, well,
It was right before he didn't kill his wife.
oh,
I always
God.
say Vitello's is where Bobby didn't kill his wife. You know, the place.
I have no comment on any of that. I don't.
Me too. I had my son-in-law worked on an NBC TV show, and he asked me if I wanted to make comments, and I said, not really. I don't want to make any comments.
No, live and be well. Do the best
Yeah.
you can. I don't know, from fancy, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, but moving on, you did a lot of film and TV, huh?
In different ways for different jobs. Yes, I did.
Yeah, I'm going to
You
share this
did,
part right here. So you did the Olympics and you did Amistad and
Oh yeah, those are just as a singer, background singer.
oh, okay.
There was we did my group Inner Voices was hired to do some work on a show called My So-Called Life, which was a TV series, I don't know, 15, 20
Oh yeah,
years
right
ago.
here, My So-Called Life. Yeah.
With wonderful actors that I can't remember, but I really loved that job. We really did some good work in that, and then we sang it. Oh yes, CBS Sunday Morning. Yes, once they came and followed us around for a week and did a piece on us that Billy Taylor hosted.
Yeah.
That was fun. You know, it was. I look at it all as just it seems to just go by for the boys. Now, there was an interesting gig with Bette Midler and James Caan, but Dave Grusin did the music, and Mark Rydell, who is a very good friend of mine, was the director. And so he hired me just to have me around. He liked my taste. To have me around, I was called the assistant to the composer and the director.
Oh, wow.
I did a lot of different things on that, including on camera. But these are the kind of, I just had a lot of kind of bizarre one-off kind of jobs through the years. A lot of it because I could just kind of do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Which included in that movie conducting on screen. It was a pre-record, the orchestra for the Academy Awards show scene in the movie. I was the conductor. Always hated, they put my hair up on my head. I just hated it. I could never have been an actor. Yikes.
It's so much fun. I mean, wow, especially what do you think the best years were, like a group of years?
I don't know. Maybe the 70s.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Clyde Dean is here.
Oh, Kleiser, my friend.
Says it's great to see you.
And you. Well, no, I don't get to see you, but Clyde and I keep in pretty good touch.
Yeah.
We have a thing going back and forth on many subjects. Recently, Readout, R-E-I-D. Her name, what's her first name? Clyde, what is her name? A wonderful newscaster. I think it's on MSNBC, might be CNN. At any rate, we're both a little bit obsessed about her hair. And so let's say, oh my God, did you see those braids today? We listen to the news, mind you, but still, you know.
I was talking with a female singer, I can't remember who, but you know, one of my interviews, and I was trying to remember.
Joy Reid. Go ahead.
Oh, hi, Clydine. Yeah, she said Joy Reid. But I was talking, and I was trying to remember Liz. Liz, okay, Dan. Liz, see, now I can't remember. But anyway, I said to this woman, she's really elegant. She has very short hair. She wears very like minimal makeup and jewelry, and the woman knew exactly who it was. It was like, yeah, let's talk about what we notice, you know, which is really cool.
It's not that we don't care about the news and watch it, but still, one notices. When people are styling, people are styling.
Yeah.
Rachel Maddow is not exactly what you'd call styling, since she wears black every day.
Liz,
1,000 black suit tops.
Help me, you know who I love. Oh. Liz Wright, thank you, Dan. My internet connection is unstable.
Yes, you are beginning to freeze a little bit.
She's freezing.
Which is
we had this
not how
problem
I think of you.
before we came on, and she had to go on. Oh, there you are.
There you are.
There you are. So Liz Wright. Do you know Liz Wright?
No. Why don't we know the same people?
She's the most gorgeous. Well, she's the most gorgeous singer. She's, first of all, when you look at her, you fall in love because she's always elegant. She's very tall and slender. She wears these very kind of plain but beautiful and sexy dresses, but they're very plain. They have long lines. She wears small earrings, very little makeup, hair very close to her head, and she has kind of probably like Clydene's voice, like a very unusual, rich, warm sound. And you can tell when she sings that she's from church, you know, and she sings kind of jazz and R&B and Americana, and the way she sings is she's just singing like it's coming right through her. She's really beautiful. You'd probably love to hear her sing. Liz Wright. It's just great.
I'll try to remember.
Gives me chills. I'll send you an email. Liz Wright. Okay. Yeah.
There are wonderful people out there and around. I'm not a fan of the TV talent shows that go on these days, but I will say this, without those shows, younger people might never be exposed at all to the kind of songs that were that they use for artists, because today's songs don't work as well. It's like you don't see people on those shows singing Like a Virgin by Madonna, you know, it's like a piece of Kleenex, that song. Nothing wrong with it for her. She's got the rhythm and everything, but it's not going to show off a thing. But the music they use has a kind of classic quality, and I'm very appreciative. And there are melodies involved. There are often chords involved. There are professionals playing. So I'm grateful for that aspect of that world.
Yeah.
But I think the whole thing is insane, and 90% of it is commercials and backstory that I don't believe one word of.
Oh yeah, I don't.
And all those people think they're having careers when they're really only having a week's salary for the people on the show who are getting branded. The judges, they're the ones that come out of it with a more solid career, because they got those brands that can go to Europe, they can tour forever just on that. So, but the people on the show, 1 out of 100 is 200, 500 gets a career out of it.
Yeah.
So the job is not to show people how to have a career, which is a talent of its own. I have always said, to have a career, you have to have a talent for your career. You have to know when and how to move your career forward. And now that means almost 100%, you have to have a sense of how to use the media correctly. And I just want to put in a pitch for a guy named Ari Herstead, who's written an important book on this subject, ARI.
He's very talented.
Rstead. He has a career as an artist. I don't know anything about that, but he has a talent for his career.
Yeah.
And he has written a book that shows people, and he's already updated it at least once, shows people how to begin using social media on their own behalf. There are many people now, if they use Patreon, I think it's called, these sites that you don't have to be famous to make money and have a healthy career now. If you just have your 1,500 fans and know how to service them, they will support you. And there are people doing very well that we've never heard of, but their fans have heard of them. And this is the way it rolls now. And every once in a while, there's a Billie Eilish that like breaks through, and people think, oh, well, yeah, but I could never do it. Yes, there is a way. And if you're younger, the talent for it is more likely to come to you than for someone like me. That sounds like hell on wheels to me, to create a media presence online.
Yeah, I thank you for saying all that. I totally agree with you. I'm on Ari's email list, and I think he's a genius. In the old days, they probably would have made him head of A&R on some big label,
I've got his book here. I'm going to find it and hold it up.
Okay.
I don't know the guy, so I'm not.
He seems really nice, really cool, right? He's into sharing big time, and
he does. He gives away a lot for free.
Yeah.
Shit. Of course. Now I can't find it. I can't find the book.
And Patreon is wonderful too. I think Patreon is definitely, you need to pay attention to it if you have a Patreon account, and
yes,
and
people, if you give people just a little so that they feel a part of your music, it makes people very happy.
Yeah.
So
what kind of jazz are you listening to these days?
Right now in my house and in my car, constant rotation is Yvonne Lynn's. Because his sense of chords, and I just think he's a astonishing Brazilian composer, Ivan Lins, and Jobim, and my great friend Dori Caymmi.
Javan.
Javan is another one. I got to produce his vocals once.
Oh,
And
I think the world of him.
he's great.
I saw a video of his live performance. The guy didn't stop for 2 hours, like
Yeah.
really, really working.
Really working, but people forget now because acts, I don't believe, play nearly as long. To do a show now with tracks and all that's involved. But back in the olden days, Neil Diamond played for 2 hours at a time, Let me stop that. And Bruce Springsteen does it today.
Yeah,
So a lot of people do that.
yeah. Yeah, I have fallen more in love with Brazilian stuff. I recorded with a chamber orchestra, and I did. Do you know Velho Piano? That's a Jobim song, and it means old piano, and it talks about, of course, in the Brazilian style, talks about how wonderful love is, but then it becomes like an old piano sitting in the corner, never being
I
played.
wonder if Jovine wrote that lyric, because I happen to really hate English lyrics to Brazilian songs, including
Well,
the ones that I've
these-
written.
These were Portuguese lyrics.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
but there are two exceptions, and one of them is Waters of March.
Very nice.
Da, 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 da,
Yeah.
da, da, da.
That's
And that is an astonishing lyric, and Jobim wrote it in English.
wow.
What are the odds?
It's a great lyric.
And the other one that I like, English, is called The Island. It's Yvonne and the Bergmans wrote the lyric.
Yeah,
A beautiful,
the
sexy
Bergmans.
lyric.
You can't do anything wrong with the Bergmans.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I don't know where they get it. They just there's this gorgeous pot of beauty, and they just go, here, let's take this for that.
They understand everything about words and syllables and what a singer needs on stage, because a singer is so alone on stage. The only friend you've got
Hello, doggy.
is the song.
Yeah,
So some lyricists are brilliantly talented at allowing the song to sing easily, and the Bergmans are there. There are lots of great songs that don't do that, as in Poor Butterfly. So, Fly, fly on the top note at the end of the phrase. Thank you for sharing. So there, we have a lot of that, quirkiness. But the Bergmans know
yeah,
how to make it smooth. And then also Alan and Marilyn Bergman got this alignment with Barbra Streisand early. And it was like Liza Minnelli and the two composers that I can't remember now. They wrote New York, New York, and a million things. And these were family alignments that these people trusted each other and worked together closely and a lot for their whole careers. And they fed off each other, and their success fed off the other's success.
yeah.
So those were wonderful alignments that can happen in this business.
Yeah. How about one of my favorite Bergman lyrics? How do you keep the music playing?
Oh man, that is Quincy's favorite song.
How do you lose yourself to someone and never lose your way?
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous. Really beautiful.
Isn't that Johnny's music, right? Johnny Mandel?
Let's see.
Because it's not Michel Legrand.
It is. Yes, it is Michel Legrand.
It is Michel.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Michel was such a cycle of fifths kind of writer. He wrote in a little cycles as the song went along. Yeah, but Johnny could have written that music.
That was just really gorgeous lyrics. One time I remember there was a show in LA that was the Bergmans and oh God,
Yes,
remember
I
that
know
show?
about that
Just
show.
Jazz
Bill
or something?
Cantos was the keyboard player in that show.
I
Uh,
auditioned for that, and you were supposed to sing one of your favorite kind of, you know, serious ballads, and that was like the song I picked out of my book, and I started crying, unfortunately, in the middle of it.
that's difficult.
I just couldn't because
Couldn't get through it.
it's just the most gorgeous song, It's the
It is
words
on
are
every level.
so tangible, Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh
How do
God.
you start? Uh,
Yeah.
just from there, yeah, it was a
And that
beautiful
that
night.
song, do you remember the movie it was from? It was Goldie Hawn and what's his name? They only did one movie together. What's his name?
Chevy Chase,
No, the guy who was with Diane Schuur for a long time.
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. Burt Reynolds and Goldie Hawn, the only movie they ever did that I saw. And it was so sad that when that song came in and Patty Austin was singing, and it was like, ah, it was great. Oh God, we're so lucky that we can affect people.
Yeah, James Ingram had a career because of Quincy, really, and Pat. Well, I can't say that about Patty. My life passes before my eyes when I talk about all these guys. I'm also writing a book.
You are?
I am. It's too big. I can't force myself to edit it. I'm a very good book editor. Only I don't seem to be able to do it with my own book.
Yeah.
But I've known so many great people,
Yeah.
and they've told me such stories, and I've watched so many. So I thought I should write about it, and I have. But
How long have you been writing the book?
I've been working on it about 3 years, and I'll tell you, because of the pandemic and the astonishing time of life that we're living in right now, many of the things that I wrote about 3 years ago, I don't feel the same about. Like, it was before Me Too. And Me Too just blew my whole life out of the water because I came from the age where it's just the way things were.
Yeah.
And I was a young woman, independent in the music business. So I had a ton of those experiences. So many things have changed my worldview that I look at some of these old chapters that I wrote and said, it doesn't feel right anymore. So that's why I've gone to collecting the music and making one place for, I'm not sure how to do it. I'm thinking maybe an Excel thing, but I want to make available for all of my gazillion songs, either an MP3 or a TV link or a movie link. I want to get all this available. So I have it all here, and I'm close to facing the music about how do I present. I don't know how to present it yet.
Wow. Interesting process. Really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
It is. I had no idea it was this big. I thought
Yeah.
I'd written about 40 songs. There's like over 200 songs.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just buried them. It isn't like I forgot, but I would bury things I wanted to have a career at one time as a singer-songwriter. And when I couldn't pull that off, it's like I turned the corner on it. And all those things just sat there for 30, 40 years, So that's the stuff that's on cassettes that I'm now re-energizing to just, I don't know why I'm doing it, to tell you the truth.
When what do you only perform with inner voices now, or do you perform with in other situations as well?
Last year, was it last year or earlier this year, I sang and played a song I wrote with Johnny Mandel called, was it Quietly There? I think it was Quietly There, the one that Shirley Horn did. This is a little short divergence. I want to recommend a website called the Johnny Mandel Appreciation Salon.
Hmm.
And 2 or 3 or 4 times a week, this guy, I can't remember his name, presents songs always associated with Johnny and somebody.
Yeah.
Johnny Bennett is somebody,
Yeah.
A couple of days ago, he did Quietly There by Shirley Horn.
Wow.
It's a lovely site and beautiful comments from different people. Right after Johnny died, which was last year,
Right.
in the middle of the pandemic,
Yep.
so that I couldn't even go he was living with his daughter in
Yeah.
Ojai, and I couldn't go.
Yeah.
The LA Jazz Society, a wonderful organization, decided to celebrate Johnny.
Yeah.
And John Clayton, who's a big band guy, leader, wonderful, decided to base it on Johnny's first songbook. He's got 2 songbooks out. And as it happens, I had 2 songs in that songbook. So they asked me to sing the song. So my husband, who's a techie guy, I played and sang the piano in the living room, and he recorded it, and we uploaded it, and it was on this show.
Oh, cool.
So every once in a while, I'll do something like that, but
Yeah.
I don't really feel it anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't feel it anymore. I
Yeah.
don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Maybe, an album of lost songs now that I found all this shit, but I don't even know if I can sing it anymore. Some of it, maybe. I don't know.
That would be nice, actually. I'll wait for the book. I think the book sounds great.
I just wanted to tell you this thing that I just found, one other little story. Frank Sinatra was doing, he did 1 duets album. He might have done 2, but I remember one, and it was, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. And Pat Williams was in charge of all the music. If you can imagine all the years that Frank Sinatra was on the road, all those charts,
Yeah.
filled trucks full. So one day they all landed at Pat Williams' house. I knew Pat for many years, another fantastic arranger. So Frank was beginning to record these songs. I think Phil Ramone was producing.
Huh.
And one of them was I've Got a Crush on You. And it was going to be a duet with Barbra Streisand. So I got the call, will you come to the studio? We are developing the duet for Barbara. Frank has already done his part. Huh? Will I? Wow. So yes, I will. So I went to the studio, and they had kind of written out just how glad the many millions, that thing.
Yeah.
And I got a crush on you, all of that. They'd written it out. I knew it, of course. And I put on the headphones and I sing the first part of the song. And there's Frank Sinatra in my headphones, and I'm singing with him. Oh my God. At one point I just said, oh, and they left it in.
Really?
So I just don't
Oh
know
my
how I
God.
got through it. He's such a hero. And afterwards, I just describe it as a great American experience. I never thought I would ever have.
Oh.
And I just found it. I'm going to put it in with all my stuff for this
Oh, wow.
project.
That is so cool. Oh my God. I want to hear that one too.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Do
And
you go out in Palm Springs and listen to music at all?
a little bit. We have the McCullum Theater here, Manhattan Transfer, and people that I know and love, we've gone to see. Next door to where we live, where Diane Schuur lives,
Yeah.
it's in this big golf course place where they have these homes. What do you call these homes? They're like, words like double wide. They're some kind of trailer kind of homes. They're very popular out here.
Uh-huh.
And anyway, they have a million gazillion of those. And And they also have a restaurant called AJ's where the son of Harpo Marx plays the piano once a week. And he's just great.
Wow.
He's just great. And so we've gone there and people appear and sing with him, all the divas, older divas such as myself. If I'm a diva, I'm not sure. I think I'm a little too jazzy to be a diva.
Yeah, I think so.
Divas are ordinarily not jazzy. But so we've gone there.
That's fun.
It's fun. And then I wrote an arrangement of Give Me You're Tired, You're Poor. A song I learned in grammar school, I think. And I wrote this arrangement of it right after Donald Trump was elected, with all due respect. But I was so devastated that I had to do something. And what I did was write this arrangement of Give Me You're Tired, You're Poor, Your Huddled Masses Yearning to Be Breathe Free. Made me feel good. So I was going to do it. I was already living in the desert, but I was going to come in and get my friends together and record it and then do a video of it with somebody's brilliant camera. Everybody has a brilliant camera now in their phone, and then put it on YouTube. And that was the gig. I never could pull it off. Living here, I just couldn't pull it off. But there's a choir out here called the Cathedral City High School Choir, and they're really good because they have this wonderful conductor, teacher. And so I happened to hear them. I can't remember why. I'm not so great with amateurs, but I did hear them, and I met her. And I'm going to go see them soon because I want to teach them Give Me You're Tired, You're Poor.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a very multi-culti group.
Yeah.
Out here, we have a lot of Latinx. We have a lot of everything out here. And so it's exactly what I want.
Yeah, that would be great for that song.
Yeah.
Do you get a chance to go up to Idlewild?
No, I haven't. I wish. No, we're kind of stick in the muds, to tell you the truth. We love the desert. And of course, in the pandemic, who went out?
Yeah, I was just wondering about, I taught at Idlewild for a year for their jazz vocal, department. And I had to stop because it just it felt like I was on the road all the time because I stayed up there for a few days and then come back. And I turned it over to a friend of mine because I was just like, it's just a little much. But their arts departments are so amazing.
Great.
Oh God, they're so amazing. I actually brought the author of Free Play. Do you know that book? Free Play?
Yes.
Free Play, Improvisation in Life and the Arts by Stephen Nachmanovich.
Yes, I do know that book. Wonderful.
It's a great book. And I brought Stephen Nachmanovich here for a few workshops from the East Coast, and we went up there. It was amazing. You'll appreciate this. So we had the workshop. It was with all the different departments on a stage, the kids from all the different departments. And some of them didn't really know each other, like the dance people, and the guitar person, and he's so funny. He's very, very improvisational, and he does this all the time. He stood there and he smiled at everybody. That was the beginning. And then after a while, somebody started playing the guitar, and then somebody started dancing and stuff. That was how the workshop started. It was amazing. It was just great. But anyway, they're really talented people.
Bobby McFerrin does that sort of thing, and he does it all over the world.
Right.
He just sets up a situation where improvisation can happen, and he waits.
Yes.
He does it with a guy named Roger Treese.
Yes, I know Roger. Yes.
Wonderful arranger guy. They toured together. So,
yes.
And I went to some of Roger's things that he had with a lot of singers in town, session singers.
Yeah.
And he would just start out, he would give one a couple of notes, and then went around the room. It was really wonderful.
Yeah, he's in Bobby's group. The
Yeah,
group
he
with-
spent a couple of years with him.
yeah, that group with 6 singers or 8 singers.
Yeah, called, somebody will know, Bobby McFerrin.
I know, I forget the name of the
Famous
group.
name
That was,
that we're known
yeah.
for. Yeah.
But you know who else sang with Bobby early and with Ursula Dudziak was my friend Jay Clayton, who's from the East Coast and who's actually coming out here on her 80th birthday tour. And I'm setting up a gig for her, a brunch on November 14th at Vitello's with Bill Cunliffe and a few other people, and also a workshop. But she and Sheila Jordan, not only are they roommates even now, but in the old days, they were the people who had lofts for Charlie Parker and all those people.
All those guys, yeah.
And so she's kind of a mixture. She like does standards, but she also is a free singer. She's made a whole career of that too. But her original group, whose name I can't remember, had Bobby and Ursula Dudziak. and
Voicestra?
Oh, that was Bobby's group.
Voicestra.
Yeah, no, this was Jay's group or her original. This was so long ago. I mean, this was a long time ago. Yeah, I want to say Inner Voices, but that's not it. But yeah, I wonder if I can find it. I might be able to find it in my.
Bobby McFerrin's a force, man.
Oh
He's a
God,
force to reckon with. I've seen him on stage. I didn't think he was very good on stage.
really?
Much of a performer, not for me.
Oh,
But if you just shut your eyes
yeah,
and listen, then you got Bobby McFerrin.
yeah. Vocal Summit, it was called, and it was also with Gene Lee.
Gene Lee's.
Gene Lee.
Oh, Gene Lee.
She was a singer in all of that area too, you know, that whole free area. She was very, very talented person. Yeah. So who let's see. What do you think, being you've had so much point of view that is a great point of view developed over years, what would you suggest to people who want to get active in the kind of things that you were active in, you know, like arranging or studio stuff or writing, and, you know, what would you suggest to people? How do they go for it?
It's very tricky now. I'm a person who will always believe in the power of craft skills. That means you learn your instrument. And today, that's not so much happening because the instrument, like a keyboard, does so much for you that the impulse is quite different now. Not that there aren't people who, you know, it's enough to make you believe in reincarnation. They just,
I know they come
they
out of the
control you,
womb.
you know, he's got the
they control
chops,
you.
but
Absolutely.
they're very unusual.
Yeah.
I believe, though, that a high level of skill, let's just say scales, on your instrument to begin there is crucial. I believe in understanding sight reading. If you're a keyboard player, at least chords, and not the 1-4-5 chords. I mean real chords
Yeah.
with 6-7 notes, different
Yeah.
notes in the chord. And if you're a singer, learning to read, that's the only way you can really have a career in the studio that has versatility.
Mm-hmm.
Because few people can actually read. Many people think they can sight read, but what they mean is just play it for me once and I'll have it. And what the reality is play it for me 4 times and I'll have it. So you have to go through their fooling themselves and be polite and not let them know that you know that they can't read. There are exceptions to that. For instance, two that come to the top of my mind every time are Al Jarreau and Patty Austin. Both I worked with a lot. I know very well. Could not read, but I used to say they read by Braille. They know that the black note is shorter than the white note. They know that if there's a little flag, it's a faster thing than the no flag note, and they can see when the notes go up and down. They can also see the squiggle that means don't sing here. So that's the way. I remember teaching Al Jarreau a very hard Johnny Mandel song called I Never Told You from a movie called The Naked Gun with Glenn.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic thing. But it was really da 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 da. It was really hard with his chords.
Yeah.
And I just showed it to Al, and I knew he wasn't reading.
Yeah.
So, but I believe that most ordinary mortals, those two people aren't,
Yeah.
should know quite a bit about sight reading. You can learn in church. I learned in church, little Jew that I am. I was in this church because my teacher was the choir director, and she showed me how to find C on the music, on the 5 lines of music scoring. So, and I understood, I learned C, no sharps or flats, and then you learn what is 1 sharp, what is 2 sharps. You learn these keys, and you learn solfeggio. Solfeggio is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's solfeggio. That's the whole thing. Little extras, but don't worry about it. And I would learn, okay, it's in the key of C. How do I know that? Usually the last note of the hymn is on the tonic note.
Mhm.
Okay, so I know where C is in the 5 lines. And then I use solfeggio. You start with soprano, alto, tenor, mi, re, do, la, la, so, do, mi, re, so, la, so, mi, so. So you do each part on solfeggio. I must have sounded like a cat in heat as a kid doing this in church. But I was really determined to learn. She told me I would learn. If I put myself and everyone around me into this torture, I would learn. So I would start with the soprano, as everybody was singing that,
Yeah.
and do the alto. And you know what? I can sight read like a streak to this day. So there are many ways now that you can learn, and there are people who will teach sight reading.
Yeah.
So these, I believe in it. Once you have these basics,
Mhm.
then all you've got is yourself,
Yeah.
because there is no container, no envelope for the business as there was when I came in. It's mostly by yourself in your room online, or if you've got a sister like Billie Eilish, you can be with her in your bedroom.
Yeah.
And then you've got 2. And if you go through the websites of the day, you can find a path. And let's say you like to write songs. It would be a very good beginning.
Yeah.
Learn to write songs. Even if you're not great at it, it's a calling card.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to have something for your
Yeah.
container.
Mhm.
You can't just say, how do I be a singer?
Yeah.
I mean, most people can't think beyond, let's get on one of those talent shows. And okay, get on a talent show, but it won't make you a career. It's different from a career. A career is getting out your database and looking through the names and squinting and thinking, who could I call about this? Who would be interested in this? This is kind of a net. You have a network out there. This word network didn't exist when I came into the business. There were only 3 women in it and only 5 guys. I mean, it was that long ago. So the word network didn't exist. We all just went to a club and met there. It's I can't remember, Santa Monica next to Dantana's, you know, the
Oh,
famous,
yeah.
famous club.
You mean at my place?
No, although Inner Voices sang there year after year. No,
Yeah.
I don't. It's much more famous than that. It's where Elton John started. It's where Linda Ronstadt started.
On Santa Monica, not in
On
Santa Monica.
and La Cienega.
Yeah, I know the place. It's the Dan. You and I went there on Santa
Claudine,
Monica.
come on, you know this place.
It's the Troubadour. Thank you, Leslie Zerl.
Troubadour, you see, you have brilliant people watching you. It takes a village to get through a sentence anymore. So that's all we did. We just met at the Troubadour. But now you have to be more clever than that. But I believe that people who are younger and have been born to digitalness have that streak.
Yeah.
They can make it work. I would not be the person to ask about how to make a career because I'm too philosophical. I'm a meditator. I'm a Buddhist, not really, but I mean, I'm philosophical, I would have different viewpoints.
Yeah.
Than people who have to, it's finding yourself. Finding your music is finding yourself. I mean, without knowing the details of your journey, Cathy, I know that was your path. There were a bunch of notes on your path all the way along. You made your mistake with the notes and you made your good moves with the notes and didn't even know it probably, because if you started early enough, like it did for me, it's braille, I feel like I am feeling my way along the wall of life, honestly. I would love to take more credit, but it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that way, although I think we all have a path.
Yeah.
And to not, get spiritual here particularly, but I think that you have yours, I have mine. Nobody else will ever have yours. Nobody can get you off your path.
Yeah.
But it's a path. I always see a path. I see you turn around in a boat, you see that wake behind you. Well, that was your path that day.
Yeah.
And now you're up here.
Yeah.
So that takes a little skill. I think it's a pretty brutal time in the culture to be young. I would be very scared about what the future might hold. But what's the point in being scared? Especially if you love music, go with that and just get out of your fear, one fear at a time, and get back into your nice music obsession. So I don't know. I don't have any real.
I love that all. I agree with all of it. It's great. I love it. And Claudine had a comment, which was nice. She said, she's on YouTube. Anyway, she said, your writing made it easier for me with clusters and singing next to you with inner voices, madrigal heaven.
That's right. I used to say of Claudine, she sang tenor. So, if you have 4 parts, you have soprano, alto, tenor, bass. The tenor is the one that gets it in the neck. I always needed Claudine to do the tough notes.
Yeah.
There's all, voice leading. My parts are very clustery. They are. And so there was always a difficult note. And very often I wrote a chart for us recently. It was Baby, It's Cold Outside. And I sang next to Claudine, alto and tenor, da, 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 and all the parts. And it was like, I was singing D, she was singing C sharp, all the way through the chart.
Oh.
And that's just the way the writing was. I wanted that real tight sound.
Yeah.
And I used to say to her when she mentioned something about that on stage, and I would say, why do I write you those parts? Why do I want you to sing those parts, Claudine? And she would say, as I said so many times, because I can. She has the most unerring ear of any singer I ever know. She can hold a note during an earthquake. We did a gig once, an album for Amanda McBroom. She had just had her first child. He was on her hip, and we were standing up sight reading the chart, and it was hard. It was a song that she and I wrote called Only With You. Yeah, Only With You. And I always remember her with Romy on her hip, sight reading this damn chart down. She's unerring, you know. And yeah, I guess she did learn a lot of clusters from me. I got very confident that she could sing anything. But then all those people that I worked with could sing anything.
I think part of it too, I have a little exercise that I give students, especially in workshops, but because it's singing tension notes and not in a horrified way, but with lots of love. It's
Not in
like
a horrified way.
yeah, it's like, oh, like relish in the tension. Don't like, no, relish in the tension. I say, put your hands on any chord. Now sing very slowly a chromatic scale, this note and feel the tension, next note, and love it, And I think studio singers like what you're speaking of, they have a big affinity for those notes, so.
Well, you have to get used to it.
Mhm.
And in today's culture, younger people especially are not exposed to chords. We heard them in elevators, staircases, and restaurants, and throughout the fade-ins and fade-outs of news shows. All of those things were very chordal. That is not the case now.
Yeah.
If there's any chords at all, they're FCG.
Yeah.
145, which would be CFG actually, rain. And so tension is a very good word for that.
Yeah.
But tension is sweet.
Yeah.
Tension is before the orgasm, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I always think of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it takes some getting used to. I could see that it would be a little alarming at first. People, not everybody has the ear for these things. A lot of people, this stuff just sounds wrong to them.
Yeah.
They really need the purity of Beethoven, she said contemptuously. I shouldn't do that. But Bach, on the other hand, really loved a minor second.
Uh-huh.
He liked hot chords in his own way.
Yeah.
But some people need that pure sound of a da 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 da. That's music to them.
Yeah.
And when you fool around with that too much, it sounds wrong to them. But there are other people who can get used to a broader palette. Maybe it's the same with food. If you have only been exposed to ham and egg, 2 eggs fried, a little salt and pepper, then you have to grow into delicacies, which I'm not too good at, incidentally, with food. But I think it's the same expansion from the base, because the tempered scale da, 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 is still in our culture the basis. It's the meat and potatoes. And it also won't be right if you don't always have that scale in your heart as you play and write and sing. You always have to know where home is.
Yeah.
And if you're changing the note of the tonic note, it's important to me that you know you're changing it, not that you don't change it. I also think if you were learning jazz, if you don't learn the correct melodies, I'm a purist with this. If you don't learn the correct melody first before you fool around with it, you're cheating.
Yeah. Well, that's just true. Even Betty Carter started by singing the real melody. She was phrasing,
Yes,
her own way, but she was singing the real melody.
And you take that knowledge of the real grounded melody into the flight
Yeah. Yeah.
of jazz.
Yeah.
And the great players do that too.
Well, I mean, speaking of Brazilian music, that is totally what they do. The great
Yeah.
Brazilian singers, they sing the melody, but they phrase in their own unique way, which
Yeah.
you really have to be comfortable with tension notes if you're phrasing unusually, which, that's kind of the meat and potatoes of a great artist.
In honor to the magic of chords, I'm just going to suggest that everybody who might be interested go on YouTube and look for a certain song. The artist is Yvonne Lins. The song is called Maus, M-A-O-S, D-E, F-E-F, oh shit, Efita. I think if you get that part, EF, he records his stuff over and over. Maus de Efita. I can't remember the third word.
Okay.
Clearly, it's Portuguese.
Yeah.
It's one of the most gorgeous things chordally that I've ever heard. I could just play it on a loop all day.
You know who played? Let's see, was it? No, I think he played with Dori a lot. Who I'm sure you know because he played with Shelby. Is Greg Karukas? He has a huge love affair with that
A
music.
total love affair with Brazilian stuff. He did indeed play with Dori, and I heard many of those. I used to go see Dori all the time. Used to call him Water from the Well, and he played in kind of the neighborhood where I lived in the valley, like Benedict Canyon, down to Ventura, where he played. So I heard him a lot. Yeah, it's a glorious thing. This music, if you're in love with music, you're a lucky duck. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had it any other way.
That is the perfect way to end our 2 hours.
Okay,
Don't you think? That
I
was
do.
beautiful.
I do.
Thank you
Yes.
so much for spending 2 hours.
My pleasure.
It was fun to talk to you.
Yeah, it was finally. At
Listen to
length.
your stories and wow,
Yes.
just wonderful, wonderful.
Okay.
What are you going to do
So-
the rest of the day?
I'm going to an online glasses site and get myself some new glasses because I've just discovered I Buy Direct, EYE Buy Direct. And you can go there and you put up your phone
Yeah.
and you say, I like those glasses. And you go bing, and there you are with their glasses on your
That
booth
is cool. isn't
live.
it?
It's
I love
really
that.
fun. They're cheaper than anywhere else. And I know I need a new pair of glasses. That's my plan for today.
Okay. Well, I will think positive thoughts for you.
Okay. Okay. And I wish you the best, Cathy. I think you do a lot of good by getting people out that you admire. You obviously are a talent hound. You love talent
I do.
and you follow talent and you
I do.
like to get inside of it with it, I think it's a wonderful thing.
I do, and I just have to say, last week I saw at a place called Sam First, which is kind of a newer place near LAX. I saw Otmar Ruiz, who I'm going to share that name with you, Larry Kuntz, Bob Shepard, and a young bass player named Luca. And I was in such heaven. There's one Otmaro song that I'm totally ecstatic about every single time I hear it, and I was in heaven. I was just in heaven, and I was so grateful. I felt so grateful that I get to hear all this wonderful, music and get inside of it and have it affect me. It's just
And it lasts our lifetime. There are many styles of music that don't last so long. Rock and roll has been a kind of offender there. It's kind of young people's music to a large extent, but jazz people like to get old with their artists. Country people are like that too. Blues
Yeah.
people are like that.
Yeah.
And so while there's freshness always in what we do, it comes from fresh instruments and fresh input and freshness. There's still something so stable about the beauty of music as we see it. Will that last for hip hop? I don't know. Not my field. I have a bit of an allergy with hip hop. Sorry, with all due respect. I don't know how long. It's transforming a lot
Yeah.
these days. It's getting to be an influence quite a lot.
Yeah.
But that's different than staying its pure self. So I don't know. But for me, and clearly for you, we're talking about a lot of what we've talked about is stuff that's 50, at least 50 years old,
Yeah.
songs that are old,
Yeah.
and they still have something.
Yeah. Yeah. High value.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Morgan, thanks so
Okay.
much. I
All
appreciate
right.
it so
Everybody
much.
who
Thank you.
came, thank you. Thank you for listening. And thank you for the music you give and get.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can sign off and I'll just blab a little after, after this. But thanks, sweetheart. Mwah. Have a great day. Oh, that was so much fun. I was really looking forward to that conversation and I had a great time. Oh, hi, Cheryl. So yeah, I feel good. I feel good. So anybody in LA today, tonight at Catalina's, there's going to be a tribute to the drummer Quentin Denard, who played a lot. He's a veteran drummer. He played with Motown groups and on and on. And when I interviewed him, I was astounded and overjoyed to hear that he played on 25 Miles, which was one of the songs that always stuck with me from my youth. 25 miles to go, dear. Ba-do-da-dee-dee-dee-dee. I got one, I got two, I got that. I didn't remember all the words, but he was something like 15 and he played on it. It was a Motown hit. I forget the artist name, but it was a very drum kind of drum featuring the drums, and he played. It was amazingly great. Anyway, that's Quentin. He's a sweetheart, and so if you're around, Catalina's is having this tribute to him with some great players. It's going to be fun. And tomorrow, at the place where I do a once a month gig and jam session, I'm having a showcase of 5 singers with a trio. That's called the Conference Room, and it's in Playa Vista. If you want more information on that, just go to my website. It's 6:30 to 9:30. And Saturday, Pierre Chambers is performing at a church in Eagle Rock, which you can find that on my Facebook. I will have that posted again. And he's Paul Chambers' son. And Paul Chambers was one of the most famous bebop bass players ever. And Pierre has really inherited a substantial jazz feeling. And I'm producing his debut album right now. And then Sunday, one of my cohorts from my vocal improv group, Fish to Birds, Adrienne Duncan, she's performing also, and her information is on my Facebook too. She's performing at the G Spot, as Atmaro says, the other G Spot. That's in Highland Park. It's a house venue that I perform at and produce shows at. Also, Thursday through Sundays, normally I do archives. I post archives. So tomorrow is Susie Stern and George Oldsey, singer and pianist, and they both do arranging and composition. They're really wonderful. They came from Texas, Austin, where they had a very successful and high level house concert there. And then they moved here for a few years, and now they're moving to Tanglewood. And George is going to be teaching at Berkeley, and they're going to be doing a house concert again. So that they're on tomorrow. The next day, a pianist who used to live here, who is really a great jazz player, one of my favorites, John Rangel, and his wife, Barbara Bentry, who's a singer. They're on, and they produced a wonderful documentary a few years ago on Don Grusin. So yeah, so they're on, and they'll be talking about the movie. That's up Friday. Saturday, arrangers will know of an East Coast arranger and pianist named Michael Abene, who did a lot of great work and even arranging for the several jazz orchestras in Europe, in the Netherlands and that area. And then Sunday, some girl named Cathy Segal-Garcia is on, and talking about the book Free Play, the Stephen Nachmanovich book, Free Play, Improvisation in Life and the Arts. So I talked about that. I can't remember what else I did because it was in October of last year. So next week, the live people, I'll just tell you the live people. Monday is Mark Lano, who owned and ran the Improv comedy place, right? The Improv for 40 years. He's a really smart and entertaining man. That's Monday. Tuesday, Tim Horner, drummer, who kind of I got reconnected with through Paul Jost, who's a friend of mine and a great singer from New Jersey. But Tim Horner and I went to college together at Berkeley, and I just got this record from Dan Davila. Thank you, Dan. Dan, have you listened to this? This is the most amazing record. I'm so impressed with it. It's like out of my mind. Edwin Starr, thank you, Tim Weston. 25 miles to go. Yeah. Can you believe it? Quentin Denard was the drummer on it, Tim. Amazing. Anyway, Tim Horner on Tuesday, and Wednesday, an old friend of mine, a great pianist who used to live in LA proper. He lives in Orange County now. His name is Kei Akagi. And he actually had the honor of playing with Miles in the Electric period. And so he's Wednesday. So there's so much great stuff. Oh, I am going to have an extra live person on Friday evening or Friday late afternoon. And that's Leo Nobre, who's the greatest Brazilian bass player. Oh my God. He is so good. So that's Friday, late afternoon, 5 o'clock. So anyway, on and on. I'm still going to be doing stuff forever. And why, you ask? Because I want to. I was thinking today would be a good day to go out playing one of my cuts from my new record, which I can actually do a music video. Yeah, I did several singles last year, and I have my new record is this record, Social Anthems, brand new, and Social Anthems Volume 1, brand new record, and this has songs from the 60s and 70s mostly. For What It's Worth, an original called What Are We Gonna Do? And So It Goes by Billy Joel, Down to Earth, Peter Gabriel, Get Together, which you're gonna hear now, and Can't Find My Way Home, and Save the Children from Marvin Gaye. And this has two guest artists, Paul Jost and Mon David, singing with me on two songs. And then Anthony Wilson on guitar, Josh Nelson on piano, Lorca Hart on drums, and Edwin Livingston on bass. This is a very fun record. It was really, really a great process for me. And it's been getting really nice reviews, and I've been moving up on the radio playlist. So that's always nice to know. So I'm going to play this, and then, I'll leave permanently after that. But here, let me share my screen. I hope you enjoy this. Thank you for being here. And yeah, just come any day at 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and the show will be on. Okay, here we go.
Love is but a song to sing. Fears the way we die. You can make the mountains rain, or make the angels cry. Though the bird is on the wing, you may not know why. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. Right now. Right now. Some may come and some may go. We shall surely pass. When the one that left us here returns for us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. alone. Somebody must change. You are the reason I have been waiting all this time. Somebody holds the key, but I'm near the end, and I just don't have the time. Oh, I'm wasted, and I can't find my way home. Can't find my way home. Can't find my way home. And I'm wasted. Can't find my way. Can't find my way. Can't find my way.
Yeah, I love those last few shots. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me and joining my guest Morgan Ames today. And I hope you have a great day, and I hope I bump into you along the way.